Hello, welcome to KHM Today, your weekly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host this week, Sarah Mayfield. I am part of the education team. I'm filling in for Carolyn as she is currently traveling in Cancun. Today is June 5th, 2024. A little KHM update. If you haven't already, make sure you register for our Destination Success in July. And we also have a Bootcamp 1.0 with registration that opened for our August session. Today we are celebrating World Environment Day. And who better to have on than Lionel Garcia, the Director of Strategic Accounts with MSC Cruises. Hi,
Hello.
Lionel. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Since we're celebrating World Environment Day, I know MSC has made a big commitment for a greener future. What is something onboard guests can see towards this initiative?
So it's interesting. One of the things that they can see right away is just the lack of single-use plastics that we have on board. But there's also a number of things that they can't see, like our fuel efficiency and the fact that our newer ships now have LNG are being built to be able to accommodate that fuel of lower emission fuels.
I've noticed across the cruise industry that a lot of places are getting rid of the single use water bottles and that integration of having the refillable water, and I think that's great. And I did notice on like a lot of your, especially the newer ships that are coming out, about with the energy, with the fuel source.
Yeah, no, it's really neat. It's funny because of this opportunity. I wanted to do a little bit of homework on the things that we are doing, because a lot of things we kind of take for granted. For example, on day one when I started at MSC, they actually gave me a reusable cup. Here's the example right here, MSC, a reusable cup to use in the office because they didn't want us using disposable cups and or having to use plastic bottles. So we actually have a water station that refills our things. But one of the ultimate goals for the company is to become net zero greenhouse gas by 2050. So that's one thing. We are optimizing the energy use of our vessels from having LED lights and smart cabin control systems. So that way we know when a guest is in the room, we're utilizing the electricity in that room, but when the guest is not in the room, there's no electricity being sourced to that room. We are being responsible with our waste management and have enhanced our recycling efforts to make sure that we're recycling things properly. We're generating and creating our own onboard water. So 85% of the fresh water used on board is created by our vessel with technologies that we have to allow us to do that. I mentioned the fuel efficiencies, and so we are looking at LNG, but there's actually even more newer technologies up on the horizon that we're always enhancing and trying to understand. We also have modified our vessels to have shore power connectivity, so that way when we're in the destination, we can actually plug in the ship, kind of like you would plug in an appliance. We can plug in to shore power instead of having to operate the fuel and burn fuels on the vessel while we're in port. And then here's a really neat one is we've designed our hulls in a way to create and minimize noise for the oceans. So, and the marine life in the ocean. So we've enhanced our propellers to make sure that they don't make as much noise. And we've even modified our hulls to make them more efficient and create less noise pollution.
That's awesome. And then I noticed too that can you talk a little bit about Ocean Key? I know that they're doing a lot of things, trying to like preserve things and like especially like with the ocean and things.
Yeah, I think it's really neat that you bring that up, Sarah, because we did part of our sustainability efforts is what we're doing not only on our ships, also in-house in our company, but also what we're doing in destinations. And Ocean Key is a prime example of that, where we took an industrial site. This was actually a dumping ground in the Bahamas, and we've removed tons and tons of waste and hazardous material. We properly disposed of this material and now have restored this island back to its original place. We now are so happy that we've seen marine life return. We actually have sea turtles that come and lay their eggs on our shores. We have birds that are flying and nesting on our island. We have fish that have returned. We have coral that is beginning to grow and form around the area, because we actually worked with the Bahamian government to certify this private island as a marine reserve. So this island is now protected, and no one can take anything off that island. No one can bring anything onto this island. This part of nature is protected to continue to make improvements. And one of the efforts we're taking on the island as well is we are studying super coral and trying to find a strand that can withstand the warming waters that we're plagued with today. So that because without coral, then the oceans will die. The coral kind of brings life and oxygen and sustains the oceans. And so we need to continue to grow the coral reef system. And one of the things we're doing is we're actually building, one of the latest changes is we broke ground on a marine conservation center that we are going to be installing on our private island, and our guests will be able to interact with our marine biologists and scientists on the island and see and study what it is that we're doing to help restore the oceans.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I know just those examples are one of many reasons to book with MSC. But what do you think are the top 5 reasons why somebody should book on an MSC cruise?
I love that. Thanks for giving me that opportunity to talk about that, because I'm relatively new to MSC. I'm now about almost a year and a half in. And one of the things that I was challenged with, that I thought maybe some of our advisors are challenged with as well, is understanding what makes us so different, right? Because you could argue everybody has beautiful ships, everyone goes to the same places, everyone has the same could say they have great service and good food and nice entertainment. So what I really believe it sets MSC apart are these 5 things. One is the fact that we allow for interporting and downlining. And so this, especially in Europe, is incredibly valuable, but we actually do this almost everywhere that MSC sails, with the exception of the US departures, where we allow our guests to embark or disembark in any given port, where they can even take a 12-night cruise, for example, and maybe reduce the cruise length to 9 nights or 7 nights and only book 7 nights of the 12 nights. So that's one of the benefits I think that help make MSC different, is the interporting and downlining. We also have the ability to offer discounts for everything that a guest will book pre-cruise. So if they want to book specialty dining, if they want to book internet or drink package, shore excursions, spa packages, all of this can be pre-booked pre-cruise with their KHM advisor, and they will also save money versus booking on board. So that's a tremendous advantage. Another advantage is the fact that we late night or overnight on every stop that we have on our beautiful private island, MSC Ocean Key, MSC Marine Reserve. So that's something that's really big, because almost everyone's favorite stop on a cruise is the private island, regardless of the cruise line. And the biggest wish is that they had more time. So MSC does that by only allowing 1 ship to visit per stop per day, and allowing a late night or an overnight every time we're there. And I think that gives our guests the time and the space that they're looking for in a private island experience.
And that's perfect, because like you said, most cruise lines, if they do have a private island, you're only there for a small window of time. And usually that by the time you have to get back onto the ship, you don't get to experience fully everything. And I think that's another great advantage, is having the opportunity where you can actually like leisurely explore the island and view and see all it has to offer, and not feel so time restricted.
Right. No, of course. And our guests love it. And a lot of people choose MSC for that reason, because they can really maximize the value of being on a private island destination. Another thing that I think helps separates MSC is our yacht club. And our yacht club is our product that's our most exclusive and inclusive product on MSC. It's actually the best way to describe it. It's kind of like a ship within a ship, because in the yacht club space, we have multiple different types of accommodations, from an inside stateroom up until a suite stateroom. And in this space, our guests have their own pool, their own restaurant, their own bar, their own lounge, their own dedicated spaces within the ship that is only accessible to other guests who are choosing the yacht club. And this is limited to about 150 or so rooms on each of our ships that offer a yacht club. And today MSC offers yacht club in 15 of our 23 ships. So there's plenty of options that offer the yacht club. And there's another side note that I really enjoy about our yacht club that helps make MSC different, is the fact that we have a dedicated space on our private island only for our yacht club guests, and it's included in the fare that they're paying. So this is a private beach, private restaurant, private restrooms, private cabanas, all dedicated just for our yacht club guests. So that's the fourth one. And last but not least is the fact that we status match any cruise line or hotel company's loyalty program. So if you're out there watching this and you're very loyal to your favorite cruise line, or you're very loyal to your favorite hotel company, be it Hilton or Bonvoy, I know I'm a Hilton guy myself, then we'll match that status of your favorite travel company. We don't do status match with airline loyalty, so sorry, but we do status match hotel and cruise line. And whatever your highest status is, that's the one that you should submit to have status match. And with status match, we give a discount on the cruise, and you get treated and welcomed on board as a past guest of ours. So I think those are my 5 reasons why I would recommend to try MSC.
I think the loyalty program sharing, I think that's great, and especially if you have somebody, especially for the hotels, because not a lot of companies do that with both cruise line and hotels. Typically, it's just cruise line, but that is also a great opportunity for those people that do have more of like the all-inclusive or a hotel property to be able to try MSC out and still feel that inclusion. And I've heard nothing but wonderful things about the yacht club.
Yeah, I know it's a fan favorite. The people who go on it love it. They usually come back again and again, because it is truly such a wonderful and unique way to go on a cruise vacation.
And plus the fact too that you don't have to be in a suite or things. They do have that option of having an interior room and things like that. And it's the inclusivity of it.
It is really wonderful for sure.
And then we did just have 2 of our agents attend the MSC FAM a couple of months ago, and I wanted to invite them onto our show. We do have Leigh and Toni Rath joining us today to talk about their experience on the FAM that they had. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
So I know you guys just attended the MSC FAM a couple months ago. The first question I have is, what made you decide you wanted to be a part of the FAM?
I guess I can go first. The reason I went on the FAM is I do a lot of cruises. I sell a lot of cruising, and I wanted to see. I've heard some rumors in the past of certain things that MSC does, and I wanted to see for myself what type of clients to send to MSC, and are these rumors that I've heard true or not true? And so one of the rumors is when they're doing all their announcements, it's in all different languages. When I went on the seminar at sea, it was English. So I did not think the announcements were in different languages. So that was the other thing. And then I found while doing the seminar at sea, I figured out what clientele would be perfect for this cruise line. And that was one of the reasons I kind of wanted to go on it.
I'm learning cruises, and so I had clients that MSC is their favorite, but I also know that their experiences in travel, and so asking them what it was that they really enjoyed about MSC. And one of the key things was having such a diverse clientele on there. They have traveled to Europe a number of times, and it's kind of like a mini immersion into going into Europe. The guests are all so very, very friendly. The food choices that are offered in the buffet, there are so many different things to be able to try, that especially if you're adventurous in eating something from another country, to experience that, I thought was great, because I get tired of having the same old things. Don't get me wrong, I will eat pizza, and having two different types of pizza on MSC, whether I want thin crust or I want a pan pizza, that also fit the bill, and the gelato. So I feel like those things are kind of important to check. But it really, I was like with Leigh, in that to be able to go onto the ship to experience it for myself, but also be able to go, okay, what kind of client would I put on here? And what are the things that I might educate them about, so that way they could really understand the product that they're getting on, and the experience that they're going to receive once they get onto an MSC ship.
And I think that's the one thing that why both of you are very successful, is because you do think of, if you haven't tried a brand, you want to try it out, and then you look at it from both an agent side and as from what your clients can see, and you can get that perspective. And then, what was your experience like on board?
Well, Lionel was such a great host. I cannot even begin to tell you just everything. If there was something that somebody wanted to see or had a question about, he just really helped us feel at home and got those questions for us and answered that in the time that I feel like the time that Lionel put into making sure that we understood about MSC is huge, especially knowing that the short time that he has been there. The experience on the ship was just it was great. It was a beautiful ship. It was a beautiful, beautiful ship, and the food was fantastic on there. I'm glad to have had the opportunity to go also to see other agents. To me, that's also a great opportunity to MSC, is because you want to hear from other agents that excuse me, that also sell, and hear what their experiences are as well. And just very much having that opportunity to go on any seminar at sea is always just is an honor, because we know the work that gets put into it, and also hearing the new things that are coming up and coming. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer the question, but
For me, Lionel, putting Lionel's face with a name, he now knows who I am. That is huge in our industry. So if something happens or Lionel has a sale, he knows, okay, well, I can reach out to these agents. They know what the product is. They know how to sell it. One of the things that I loved while we were on the ship is I have a short attention span some days, and the shows were like 35 to 45 minutes. So there was plenty to do. You wouldn't be at a show very long or an entertainment event, and it's drawn out. This one was short and sweet, and you can move on to the next event. And they had so much going on that I don't think we did everything that we could have done on that ship.
yeah.
I'm with you, Leigh. Like I sometimes I need those little bit of. I'd rather do a lot of things if it's a shorter amount of time, because sometimes that the longer it is, I kind of get disconnected. But it sounds like Lionel's doing a great job.
Yeah, I feel like I need to say something. So thank you so much. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. For me, it was a blast to host you all. It was actually the first seminar at sea I've hosted on MSC. I've had the privilege of being in the industry for over 20 years, but this was the first trip I did hosting advisors on MSC. And I would concur with both of you. I mean, I do believe the ship did perform really well and delivered high marks. My favorite thing, although it was something we did all the time, but my favorite thing was our happy hours that we scheduled every night prior to dinner. And we picked a different bar typically every night. So we had a chance to make sure that it was called research and development, to make sure all the bars were up to standard and all had drinks that we would choose to stay hydrated with. So that I thought was really important. But it was really nice also just to spend time with you and your colleagues to understand what we could do better to move the agenda of getting people to try MSC and experience it for themselves. So I thought that was awesome. So thanks for the kudos.
Well, and I think the other part too is I think that it's important that agents really kind of do that homework of the cruise line as well. MSC is such a different cruise line in that it's not like Royal Caribbean or Princess or those others that are very catered to the US type of clientele. They're from Italy. And so there's going to be some differences there, which as we were there and got to talk with the staff, there's so many things that they have in the works to update and to plan to make that experience that even more for those 5 ships that are in the US to be able to cater to them. But really having that knowledge and Lionel sharing that with us and telling us, about the history. I think it's important that as agents that we also need to know the history of the company as well. They're maritime. They've been in the shipping business for hundreds of years, like they've a little bit longer than most, but as their cruising is fairly new. And I think that's important to know. I feel like that a lot of those you really need to have that information so you can really dial down with your client and making sure that you are questioning them and in the right way and qualifying them to make sure that this is something that they're going to get. They're going to get the product. They're going to understand the experience that they're going to have there. I do think that being able to educate them a little bit more, asking them have they ever been to Europe, because I do think that that's kind of important as well. It's just a different feel. Service is different. Dinners are longer there. So there's just some things I think that being able to really qualify your client to go on that ship for them to understand what to expect on there as well. Because I feel like that's at the end of the day, that's really what we need to do is we're asking a lot of the questions. If they want to do something quick and book it someplace else, they're probably going to book something the same. But the sad part is because they didn't get those questions asked of them, they have no idea what to experience. They get there and they're disappointed. And that's what we're here to do, is to make sure that we've educated them so they enjoy and get to experience the entire ship. Or say this first time you're going to go, the next time you go, this is what you're going to experience for the next time that you go, or in the next destination that you choose. I personally would love to be able to experience MSC in Europe, knowing about the interportation, to be able to go for 2 nights or 4 nights or however I want to go. I think that is a great way to spend a longer time in Europe and to see that much more, but to be able to kind of break things up or be able to utilize that to get from one place to another instead of a train or a plane or anything like that. I think that's a great thing, but you definitely have to qualify. I feel too that Lionel, his background that he has in marketing, that he's able to help you in that, trying to determine that clientele, what's going to be right for you, or even marketing in how to market MSC, however it is you're going to do that. So utilizing the education that you can learn on the backside of looking into the MSC website, but also utilizing Lionel and his experience and his knowledge to help you make sure that you have the right client on that ship, I think is huge.
For both of you, what would you describe as the perfect client for MSC?
Someone that's traveled a lot, that knows what European travel consists of. The food was a little different. It's not your normal. They have a large variety of different food. That was one of the things that I was not used to. I'm used to a certain brand that this is what you get every night. This is what you get. It's all Americanized. Where MSC, you never knew what was for dinner on the buffet, because they always brought out different types of food, different meats, different cheeses. Like, it was just amazing to see. And it brought me out of just being Americanized, because that's all I know. And it brought me to go, okay, this is a whole different world in my eyes. One of the things that I learned is, and Tony's going to laugh at me, but it was the light system. So with MSC, You can't put a business card in their light system like you can with all the other cruise ships that we've been on to turn your lights on. It has to be your room key because it has to have a barcode and it has to read that barcode. You might run out the door and your roommate could be in the bathroom and you're turning the lights off on them because you're not thinking, which has happened. But yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned while I was on this cruise. I'm sorry.
We made a fix. We got the band.
We got the bands, and we
So
know
that
how
way
to
we
do
knew
that now.
we just took turns. We knew where to put the keys, so that way if someone needed to leave the room, we had that. But but those little things definitely help.
I have a one of the ways I shared in the group, and I think it makes sense in my opinion, is if you, and this is more of a who's not an MSC customer instead of who is. But the example I've come up with is if you have a client or a potential client who enjoys going out for coffee, let's say they're outside of the US and they go for coffee. If they're looking for a McDonald's, a Dunkin' Donuts, or a Starbucks for coffee, they're probably not an MSC customer. Because that client is looking for an American-like experience outside of America. And what MSC does is it brings truly a melting pot of cultures and experiences and people onto a product that happens to be cruising to places that most Americans would go to or like to go to on vacation. So our experiences are a little bit more cultured and less Americanized. And so if you have a guest who's really looking for a carbon copy Americana experience on their cruise vacation, then MSC is not the product for them. But if they're open to experiencing something different, something non-US, something authentic, then I do think that MSC can be something that they will really enjoy. And another way I've put this as an example is our guests can be in an elevator and no one else speak English in that elevator. And to some people, that's a very welcomed breath of fresh air. And to others, that could be incredibly uncomfortable. So knowing and understanding those things is important in understanding who's the right customer for or who's not the right customer for an MSC cruise.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's probably like the perfect description I've heard of what people should expect with MSC if they haven't been on there before.
Yeah. And it's not a bad thing.
No.
That's just how it is.
I think that too, as an agent, we get to be that person too and go and say cruising is not just cruising. It does matter what ship, it does matter what company, and it does matter what that client expects, and all of those things need to be matched up in order to make sure you have the right person on the right ship with the right company, for sure. 100%. That's why I think qualifying your client is huge. I also think that if someone's getting ready to go to Europe, I do feel like, hey, if you have a little time and you want to do a cruise, hey, let me put you on MSC so you can really gently get immersed in something to be prepared to go to Europe. So I think that that's something that you could also offer them. But yeah, you definitely want to let them know. Though I will say Italians do coffee and they do chocolate and they do pasta like out of this world. And oh my word. Yeah. I could have bought a lot of chocolate.
And then last question for both of you. What is something that you learned?
Oh,
Go
man.
ahead, Toni.
Well, I learned a lot. There was a lot of things that I already knew from MSC. Like I said, because I have clients that they absolutely love MSC. And so I really asked them a lot of questions, afterwards, and asking them why what were the things that stood out to them that they really enjoyed. And because they were people that had traveled, in Europe extensively, they enjoyed kind of having that, like, this year I can't go to Europe, but I can have that feeling, experiencing things, but also being able to share with other people to different things about America, or even talking to the staff. I had someone ask, they're like, what is it with the soft serve? Why did the Americans keep asking for soft serve? And I know, but that's just more gelato for me. So that's okay. If they eat the soft serve, I'm here to eat the gelato. So, but there was a lot of things. I think the biggest thing I learned was about the each level. So for example, Bella versus Fantastica, Aria versus the Yacht Club. Lionel really put that out there to say, Bella, don't even look at that. Look at start in Fantastica, because these are the things that you're going to get, your clients going to get, and then from there move up. Or if you've heard them talk about a ship within a ship experience, then straight go to Yacht Club and explain to them about the fact that they have the opportunity, that it isn't all just suites, that there's interior, there's ocean view, there's balcony, there's a little bit of everything that they can experience within that particular experience within itself. So to me, categories is probably by far one of those, things. There's some land places, and we all know who that is, that we try to just, we're trying to understand each room category. So being able to understand those levels, and really where I want to start with the client, but then I can explain to them the reason why I didn't start there is because I want to make sure that you have the best bang for your buck, that you're getting the things that I know that you want. You want the drinks included. You want the Wi-Fi included. Do you want some shore excursions? Those types of things. And so that was probably, to me, being able to have that explained to me and understood about those categories was huge for me.
I'm going to say ditto to what Toni said. But also, what I learned a lot about is Europe. So I do a lot of United States cruising. The Europe, the on and off, that they could pick and choose. Like if they want to come on it's a 7-day cruise, they want to do 4 days instead. That's amazing to me that and how they have it organized over there, that a person can say, okay, I want on at this port, I want off on this port. Where us Americans, we just have to do the loop, or we have to get on when they tell us to get on and get off when they tell us to get off. So making that Europe experience versatile and flexible for the clients, I think that's going to be huge with my business going forward, because then my clients are not just strictly on a planned schedule. They can kind of customize it to where they want to be.
And I think that's a great selling point with MSC, especially for those who are newer to Europe and things, that they have that option where they can get on and get off where they want to, and especially if they never traveled there before and they want to see multiple destinations. I think that's wonderful and a great selling point. All right. Well, thank you all for coming on. It was a joy to talk to all of you. I'm glad both of you had a great experience with Lionel on the seminar at sea. And thank you, Lionel, for coming on and talking about all the great things about MSC and helping us celebrate World Environment Day and talking about their sustainability and their initiative to make the planet greener.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Right. So I want to say thank you all for tuning in today. We want to thank all of our sponsors for their continued support for KHM today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And next week, join us back with Carolyn. We will have Agent Tim Davis talking about your social media and how to grow your brand in the LGBTQ plus community, and celebrating Father's Day with KHM's own Kevin Kelly. Have a great day.